Hi friends, thanks for joining me. I'm Kara Camper Girl, and today we're going to Concrete City. Okay, Concrete City is in central northern Pennsylvania, Nanticoke? 2 hours north of Lancaster. Let me start from scratch. So picture it. It is 1911. One of the major industries in Pennsylvania during that time was coal mining. In 1911, the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad, DL&W, God, for short, they have the Truesdale coal mine. That means that they also have all of these coal miners that are coming from different places to help them mine the coal. So they decide that they need to build some type of housing structure for these people that are going to come and help them in this mine. They wanted to make it kind of fancy.
You said you wanted some indoor plants. I got you some.
They got an architect to create a city, 20 houses, in the international style. Now, international style just means plain, efficient, and has as much interior space as possible. The architect was Mitten Dana Murrill, and he was also the architect for several buildings that were built in Washington, D.C. They decide that they're going to build these ultra modern buildings. They're going to be identical, they're going to be duplexes, and they're going to be for the employees of this local mining company. Now, they're not just going to be for any employees. These are only 40 of the 1,700 employees that were working for this company. There were a couple of stipulations in order for you to throw your name in the hat to be able to live there. First, English must be your first language, which was pretty hard at the time. And second, you had to be able to pay the rent of $8 a month. But if you could do those things, you got a 4-bedroom house. It was 2 stories with an outhouse outside. The entire thing was shaped in a giant square with all of the front doors facing the courtyard inside. There was also a tennis court, a pool, a baseball field. It was really nice. The idea was going to be that this was going to be like a perfect, identical little home. Every single house had a front yard, and they were required to have a lawnmower. They were really pretty back in the day, and people thought that this was really cool until they realized that concrete gets really damp.
It's so cold.
So to try to make sure that the concrete would stay dry, they actually even added other things to the concrete, like as they were making it. They added coal cinders, lime, and even crude oil to try to keep it dry. But unfortunately, if you've ever been to Pennsylvania, it's kind of damp. It does have pretty harsh winters, and these buildings would be not only damp, but also really cold. They did have one potbelly stove in between the kitchen and the living room on the first floor, but rarely did that make it up to the second floor where all of the bedrooms were. So these places didn't turn out to be so comfortable. The other major problem with this whole plan is that the houses had no septic system. They did have running water. They had a sink, and they would have a wash basin both for bathing and for doing dishes, laundry, whatever, in the downstairs. But they had an outhouse outside of the home. Now, these outhouses, if you think about it, are also made of concrete. It's 1911. There is no electricity in them. It is cold. It is damp. It's an outhouse. So if you have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and trudge out in the middle of winter to go pee in a cement outhouse, I'd probably complain to the manager. So no septic system kind of became a problem. The city said that in order to build one, it would cost $200,000. They basically said, no, we're not going to do that. So no septic system and damp, cold concrete equals most people left. By 1924, the entirety of Concrete City had been abandoned. So after this, the city decided, well, we can't just have these 22 houses sitting out in the middle of the woods, so they were going to demolish them. They set 100 sticks of dynamite, 100, and blew them up, and not one house fell. So they gave up. To this day, most of the structures still stand. A couple of them have crumbled a little bit, but you can still see that interior wiring that holds everything up. For it being over 100 years old, this is remarkably still intact. Now, the entire thing is covered in graffiti. Tons of graffiti. So I don't even know how to describe this next part. If you've seen Mad Max, there's a type of people that still hang out at Concrete City. The surrounding areas are really good for off-roading, ATV, shooting practice, and it's a really cool artsy place for photographers, videographers. I'm sure you could do music videos, horror films, whatever. It's completely covered in graffiti. Definitely, watch your step, probably don't go at night, but there are groups of people that this is their place. When I went, we were actually walking around and exploring, and all of a sudden we heard an ATV and then we saw a person. This person was dressed in a leather kilt with knee-high combat boots. He was missing a few teeth, but in its place was a cigarette, holding a beer, long hair, and he introduced himself by his witch name. Yeah. Now, I want to be friends with him, but if that's not your thing, I'm just warning you. Concrete City is probably one of the coolest places that I've ever been to. It's so weird. It's very out of the way. When you pull off to the side of the highway, you don't see it. You do have to walk about 50 yards in, and you could miss it very easily. The sign is very small. But if you get the chance to go and check it out, like I said, be wary, be careful, don't get tetanus, and probably don't go at night. But go check it out, because this is one of those things that not only tells about our history, but probably won't be there for that long. Eventually, the city is probably going to take it down for some reason or another. So if you happen to be in Pennsylvania, go check it out. Tell the witch guy I said hi.